We want to talk with you about the books that feed your imagination and the vices that spark your soul.
We drink, we curse, we read things. Come sit by us. Expect no judgment, just good times.
Welcome to Paper and Vices. Books reviewed, vices indulged.
Mature content warning.
I am Victoria Papers.
And I am Lee Vices.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good. Tired, but good.
It's the end of the night.
It's like 10:30.
It is.
Miss your face.
I miss your face too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you were in this room doing shit with me like 2 weeks ago, and now you're far away, and that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and those were fucking amazing episodes. Sorry for the sound quality, guys, but you know, shit happens when you're doing new formats and shit. So the moral to that story is that we should move closer to each other and just record live like all the time. That's what I pulled from that situation, but you know.
I'm not coming back to Florida. North Carolina. Eventually you should just come here. We have
yes. You've what do they call those things? The seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
no,
the winter one is pretty short. You get we've had 1 day of snow all 4 years we've lived here, except I think the first year we had 3 days of snow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's enough for the kid to be like, it snowed! And go get freezing cold and soaking wet on the back deck or in the front yard for an hour. And then the next morning it starts to melt away or it rains. And you're like, this is cool. And then you just have your fireplace on and cold rain for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you don't have to drive in the snow, which I hear is not pleasant.
No, if 2 flakes fall from the sky, they close school, which is great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am drinking the Pumpkin Imperial Ale. This is really
nice.
fucking good. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the other night I chugged one in 15 minutes and then stood up too fast and I was like, ooh, drank an 8 point whatever on an empty stomach in less than 20 minutes. I'm tipsy. I don't know when this happened, but okay.
Oh man.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking Apothic Cabernet. So Apothic does their blends really well. And we've talked about that before, how that's your, basic $9, $8 bottle of wine go-to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting because you and I have talked a lot about how Cabernets are so different. And I don't know if my taste, if my palate is changing, but I haven't picked up Apothic Cabernet in a long time. And I did recently, and that's what I'm drinking tonight. And it just tastes very super sweet to me for some reason.
It is. That's why I have a bottle of it downstairs.
Oh, okay. So it's not just me.
I basically want sangria I don't have to put effort into. That doesn't taste like cheesy ass sangria. So when something says it's very black currant forward, I'm like, yeah, that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just yeah, sure, it's a cab.
When something says things like oakiness, I'm like, not that much of a grown up yet.
I love oaky. I don't know. But then again, I'm a big whiskey and bourbon person, so.
And I'm a big sweet rum person.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's good because when I do move up to North Carolina eventually, I won't drink your liquor and you won't drink mine. It'll be fine.
But we can share the wine.
But we could share the wine. It's fine. There's an overlap.
Yes.
But then we have our stash.
Yes.
So it's all good. Yeah.
And you can sit on the back porch and smoke cigars with my husband.
Yes. Or something. Smoke something.
He'll be smoking cigars.
He'll be smoking cigars, yeah. Although
he has this thing where he gets a subscription to Ezra Zion cigars, which are really nice. Those are the cigars I bought him when we were in NOLA. He liked them so much that we found them on the internet. And starting in August through March, he just has a subscription and he gets 5 a month.
That's amazing. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. 5 a month is good because you have one per week and then you have an extra for whatever fucking reason that you want.
He either sends them to his friends or has friends over.
Nice. That's very generous.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He's very nice for an asshole.
Yes. Yes.
What are you reading?
So, when I went up to visit you, and you and I have talked about this before, I found the Children of Blood and Bone in an airport.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so ever since that find, I'm like, like if I go into an airport, I'm like, I need to just pick a random book. And so when I went up to visit you, I found the Green Lights biography by Matthew McConaughey. McConaughey. Uh, and I've been eyeballing this biography for a long time. And the reason I have not purchased, or I had not purchased it until then, was because I'm like, I don't read biographies. That's not my jam. Like, that's just not.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to escape. I want like fantasy. But
I
I was
want
just like,
magic.
I want magic, bitches. But like, I, I was just like, all right, I feel like I should buy this book. And he's just so fucking pretty. And he's like sitting there with his like hand under his chin on the cover. And I'm like, God, you're gorgeous. And like, I know that you're a good storyteller. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to buy your damn biography. So, and I read like the first 80 to 100 pages. I don't know. I read a good chunk of it like in the morning on the flight home. And then I've just kind of like
It's pretty
slowly read.
impressive.
It is pretty impressive. I was like tired. I was like, I'm going to sleep on this flight. And instead, I read about Matthew McConaughey's childhood. It is just so fucking engaging. And I'm not done with it yet.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just so good. And I'm not done with it yet because I've been like reading a couple chapters here and there and then like going back to my fantasy or whatever else I'm reading because I
Mm-hmm.
can't just read one book.
I feel like biographies lend themselves to that more than like a fiction book. Because like if a fiction book is really good, you're like, shit, I need to find out what happens. But
Mm-hmm.
like we know Matthew McConaughey isn't dead. So
He's not dead. Like, yeah.
it is known.
It is known. So it's currently my car line / waiting room in my purse at all times book. And I'm about 3/4 of the way through. But I'm tempted to just pull it out of my bag and just kind of plow through the end of it. He's just I'm like, you have proven to be a good actor. And now you are proving to me that you are a damn good storyteller to the point where I'm like, did this really happen in your life? Because I feel like that's not something that normally happens to people. But I'm intrigued. Right now I'm at a part where he takes like ecstasy and goes into the desert or some shit or Amazon, and I'm like,
Okay, but to be fair,
that's
if you heard somebody did that and then you found out they were Matthew McConaughey, you would suddenly think it a lot more plausible.
it's totally plausible. I'm like, all right, you're not totally bullshitting me. But if you were bullshitting me, I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah, I'd be okay with it at this point. Thanks.
Yes. So
Fine.
anyway, so that's what I'm reading. What about you?
I am not currently reading anything. I
Hmm.
just downloaded Black Arts White Craft by Haley Edwards. It's the second in the Black Hat Bureau series.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one was Black Hat White Witch. Anyway, it's good. I like her stories. They're very well written. They're very interesting. The world building is always solid. So I'll be diving into this in the next few days. We'll see if I can put down. I've been practicing my hand sewing in carpool lane, so we'll see if I'll put it down and do this instead. Read
Ooh.
this instead. So I know you'd
Yeah.
think I'd be reading in carpool lane, but instead I'm that mom that's sitting there with a hoop hand stitching appliques onto things. I don't.
That's intriguing, though. It's funny because you and I've had this conversation several times where you're like, I'm sewing and I'm quilting and I'm doing all these like things. And I'm like, and you're like, this is probably boring you. And I'm like, no, I'm fucking intrigued because like, who does that? Like, who does that? That's amazing. Like, I want to do that because
It's not.
it's just it's so different.
It sounds so much cooler than it is because you don't see how shitty my skills are now. Like, I am definitely going to end up at some point with a quilt of, I made all these fucking blocks while I was teaching myself shit. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. So here's a fuck up quilt. This is I'm learning. This is my fuck up quilt.
So it's funny because I learned how to, and I don't know how to do it anymore, but I learned how to knit while I was in Russia, and it's just kind of like so fucking random. It's just kind of like it's still that like, why would you do that? Like in Russia, like you're on vacation, why would you knit? And I'm like, I don't know, because I'm bored and I'm just it's I need a chill activity to go with my vodka, like. And cucumbers and dill?
I sit there and I listen to podcasts or live streams or whatever. And so
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, I had a big argument, not argument, we had a big sit down talk with my daughter about this today. I never went through carpool lane. I never spent any time in public school. So I may go a little overboard in accommodating my only child in her school situation. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like always one of the first dozen moms to pick up, which means her school ends at hour 45. I'm sitting out there at hour on the nose, if not before, lining up to get the good shade in front of the school to sit under for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And she's picked up, and within the second round of kids that get in their parents' cars, if not the first. And we had to have a sit down with her today that we were like, mommy could pick you up later. Cause she's developed this thing where she like runs away to play because she doesn't want to stand in the carpool section she's assigned. And it's been a problem all
Oh.
week. Yeah.
Oh.
And so like daddy sat her down today and was like, hey, mom sits out there and waits for you for an hour. So you need to be where you're supposed to be, or mom's gonna come pick you up later because she puts down whatever she's doing at home more than an hour before you get out of class to get in the car and come get you. And I'm sitting there, being very serious, like, yeah, mommy could do other stuff. And then part of me is like, I mean, but I'm sitting in the car by myself, like, doing needlework and drinking coffee. It's not the worst imposition. It's okay. I don't have other kids that I have to worry about. It's just this one. So I could just this is mommy's like 45 to 65 minutes of just hanging out in her car. I really like my car.
Yeah.
It's really comfortable. When we hit winter, I have seat warmers. So like, even when it's not in winter and my car is like, it's a 2019. So it's got this EcoBoost thing. So my gas mileage doesn't go to shit when I'm sitting in carpool lane, even if I leave it turned on to run the AC. So
Mm-hmm.
if I turn the seat warmer on low, it's not, oh, I'm cold, I want to heat it up. It's, I am old and I have a heating pad on my back. So, like,
Oh,
yeah,
so
mommy
good.
totally drops her day to sit there and wait for you and be in the quiet by herself and listen to whatever the fuck she wants to and drink coffee and sit on a heating pad and do needlework. Yeah, you should respect that.
Oh man. It's funny though because like all the needlework and the sewing and things, you're just like those are such underrated calming. It's kind of like coloring. I know that there's people I enjoy coloring and people are like, "What? You're just going to sit there and color?" Fuck yeah, I'm going to sit here and color.
There's a lot of benefit to enjoying the process as much as
Yes.
the product.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you're still creating, but like and I mean I'm not really good at sewing, and in fact I think I've mentioned this before. I'm not allowed to touch my sewing machine. And Victoria has been like, I can put you back to where you can touch your sewing machine, but I just haven't ramped up the courage to like take her up on that yet. It's just like it's that process of just like you get into this routine and like this like it's almost like a mindless activity where you're still enjoying
Mhm.
what you're doing, but you're creating, but it's just like it's not rocket science. You're getting into the like zone almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for me, for so long, it was really hard to get in the zone because my
Mhm.
anxiety was just through the roof. And kids, ask your doctor if Zoloft is right for you.
Yes.
It doesn't. I remember because I was raised with people that thought like mental illness was demons.
Mhm.
I like how people are like, IFB isn't a cult because you don't live on a compound. Well, fits the
Mm.
bite model pretty well.
Mm.
So, and I was taught to be terrified of mental health drugs and like, oh, they just make you a zombie and they make you completely zoned out and blah, 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 blah. No, they just give you more space to be in your own head and process your own shit the way you want to instead of the way your
Mhm.
lizard brain is like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And taking Zoloft and having cleaners come to the house twice a month is literally the best shit I've ever done for my mental health.
Yep.
Ever.
Yep.
Did you ever hire a cleaner?
No, not yet. I need to.
Sorry, I probably cut you off from something very insightful and
No, there's nothing insightful. There's nothing insightful. I mean, not really. I mean, I was just gonna add that Zoloft has helped me at portions of my life as well, so I can vouch for,
yeah.
sometimes you just need it,
Yeah,
but,
and that's okay. Like,
and it's all good.
if your happy chemicals have to be store-bought, that's okay.
Yep. Chemicals are chemical. Well, and I guess that's the thing is it's like, what was it? And I mean, this is all here. Like, I don't know how true this is. This is all just me, like, strolling through social media or whatever. But like, I remember, or maybe somebody told me that they heard something on the news. I don't know, not firsthand. Like Robin Williams, and he committed suicide and all this other stuff. Well, they did like the autopsy, and I guess he had like a big, like tumor on one part of his brain or something. Or maybe it wasn't Robin Williams, maybe it was somebody else. But just like brain chemistry and science is a thing, and like even though we're emotional and spiritual beings, like there's still the chemistry in our brain that makes us function. So,
Most people would be horrified if they treated their heart health the same way they treat their mental health.
mhm,
I was talking to our mutual friend the other day, the one that decided not to change her name,
mhm,
and she was having a hard day. And, we all have hard days, and she's just going through a lot right now. And I think she's handling it pretty well, but I totally understand how when you're sitting in that bad day, it doesn't seem like you are.
right,
And she made this comment about how, like, I don't know why God let me have such shitty mental health. And I'm like,
hmm,
that's very sad, and I get that. But first of all, your mental health is not like something you wake up and pick. No one wakes
no,
up and they're like, today I am going to be an anxiety riddled cunt beast and wonder why no one loves me. That's not how that works. A lot of it is your brain trying to protect itself, because we've had this conversation before. Your brain does weird shit to protect itself.
mhm,
Your brain trying to protect yourself from shit you've gone through. And also, like, especially when it comes to anxiety, like, if we look at the world now, and I don't mean like compared to 200 years ago, like, compared to when we were growing up, before we got our first computers, when we walked to the library, I didn't give a shit about microplastics. I knew what elections were, but they were not like, even for my very political family, they were not the nightly entertainment all the fucking time.
mhm,
If Fox News was a thing, it was in its infancy. We had only been in a couple Iraq wars instead of the eternal Iraq, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia. Why the hell are we droning brown kids wars forever? Like, we just had so much less to worry about, and we were so much less connected, and without even meaning to, we turned our brains off. Like,
mhm.
when was the last time that we just took a walk outside to run an errand instead of getting in our car and didn't look at our phone? Our moms went to the whole ass fucking grocery store, like they got in their car, they had their budget in their brain and their list in their hand, and they went to the whole ass grocery store without a phone. Like, they didn't have computers in their pocket, and they didn't worry about, for the most part, like, I know there are people who were raised by hippies, and, awesome, cool for you. High five your mom or your dad, or your dads or your moms for me. But, like, for the most part, our parents weren't like, does this have red dye? What number red dye does it have? My kid's on
Yeah.
the spectrum. They can't have this. My kid can't have gluten. Like, they just fucking went to the grocery store and bought a cereal with
Yep.
dehydrated marshmallows in it. That is not the mom life any of us live. That is
Nope.
not the self-care if you don't have kids life that any of us live. We don't
Mhm.
have the ability to live a life as informationally simple as we used to. And all that shit just leads to you being anxious all the goddamn
Oh my
time.
god, all the time.
And, like,
For
it's
sure.
wonderful to be able to click things on your phone and know, I forgot to get tape at Target. I don't want to go to Target. I can Amazon tape and it'll be here in 24 hours. But that's also another thing to be anxious about. It's another button to click. It's just, and then you add on top of that global pandemic, just caring for more people. Like, we are very blessed and privileged to live in the United States.
Mhm.
Full stop. all the issues our country has, and I'm not saying they don't, like you, me, our mutual friend, we are white bitches in the US. Like,
yes.
globally and historically, we're doing all right.
Yes.
But it's still really stressful to be an adult.
It is.
And more so, in some ways, than our parents or our grandparents had.
Yeah.
So Zoloft, ask your doctor. And if not Zoloft, Wellbutrin. You know, maybe get a personal toy and have a couple more orgasms a week. There are things you can do for your mental health, and you should do them.
Amen.
I don't know how we went from Zoloft to dildos, but I'm here for it. If we ever need a slogan other than books reviewed and Bisons indulged, it's going to be from Zoloft to dildos.
I would wear that t-shirt.
That would be a great t-shirt, actually. Y'all want to buy a t-shirt?
Sign up on our Patreon.
Lord. This is totally about books, I swear.
It is.
Alright, I think that's all I've got.
I think that's what we've covered. Yeah, or all we've got to cover. So, until next time, don't be an asshole, smoke a joint, and take care of yourself.
This has been a production of Paper and Vices, copyright 2021. This episode is presented for entertainment purposes only, and any vice should be pursued only within the legal boundaries, common sense, and personal responsibility of each person. Please check your local laws. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and guests only, and do not in any way represent the views of Paper and Vices LLC or any named persons, nor should they be considered personal, medical, or legal advice. Previous episodes and other commentary can be found at paperandvices.com.